Good afternoon and a warm welcome to St Peter Mancroft. My name is James Watts and I am a trainee lay minister lucky enough to be here on placement. As part of my own warm welcome here, I have been asked to give this week's midweek reflection. We do this every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to provide the chance to those visiting and those joining online to take a few minutes out of your day to come together in a brief reflection. If you're looking around and enjoying this wonderful historic building, please do feel free to continue to do so. If you are visiting, you may have noticed details and memorials dedicated to the historic role and proud tradition St Peter Mancroft has in the world of bell ringing. In 1715, the world's first complete peal of bells was rung here, a stupendous feat involving 5,040 changes, or the ringing of 7 bells without stopping or repetition, taking over 3 hours. Many other historic feats were achieved after this. In 1792, the bells rang across 2 days in celebration of what was thought to be a successful vote to abolish slavery in Parliament. Norwich in the late 18th century was a strongly abolitionist city and visited by famous campaigners such as Alauda Equiano, a self-taught former slave who travelled and spoke widely about the evils of the slave trade. Further back, at a time when this church was the home to the city's Common Council members and mayors, the bells were used to mark important days in the year. Some, like the reigning monarch's birthday or coronation day, were widely marked by bell ringing across the country. But Norwich, and in particular St Peter Mancroft, had its own, somewhat controversial day to remember. In the summer of 1549, the city was rocked by a rebellion named after its leader, Robert Kett. The rebellion was partly a response by the common people to the loss of pastureland to enclosure by the wealthy, who wished to pasture their valuable flocks there. Starting in Wymondham and its rural hinterland some miles outside the city, it rapidly gained support in Norwich, where there were stark contrasts then and maybe now in levels of material comfort and security. The then city leadership under Mayor Thomas Codd felt that they had no choice but to work with Kett until royal forces under the Earl of Warwick arrived. The day after the defeat of the rebels at the Battle of Dussindale, a ceremony of celebration was held in this very church. At this, it was decreed that each August the 27th would be a day when bells would be rung early in the morning to summon people to church. This was in order to hear sermons about the evils of rebellion and give thanks for the defeat of Kett and his rebels. The problem was that memory is not an easy thing to fix. Many who had relatives who had fought with Kett and alongside him still remembered what became known as the commotion with fondness, as a time when social reform and a better life had seemed possible. But here at the heart of the city, the bells of St Peter Mancroft rang faithfully on August the 27th for over 100 years, from 1550 until at least 1661, possibly 1667. We even know from records how much the ringers were paid, usually between 2 shillings and 2 shillings 8 pence in total. This was the same as they were paid for ringing royal commemoration days, showing just how important the marking of the Commotion Day, or as it was later known, Ket's Day, became here. So, why am I mentioning all this? Well, partly because I want to reflect on the very long tradition of bell ringing in this church, but also because I want to reflect on how they have rung the changes in our national and local life, from Ket's Day down to the commemoration of the life of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. Change is a constant of life, and right now it can feel, looking at the news, as if things are somewhat taking a change for the worse in terms of the wider world. There is talk of a new and more unstable world order, ending the hopefulness of the positive changes brought about with the democratic revolutions of 1989, which I remember as a teenager. Yet in the midst of all this, in the Christian faith, there is a firm belief that despite things being in constant flux, there is one thing which does not change: God. The Bible provides a view of God which shows his presence from the dawn of time until its end, bringing his message piecemeal and gradually to an ever-changing world until he finally sent his own Son to bridge the gap between heaven and earth for good. The psalmist in Psalm 90, verse 2, reminds us that before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. God's presence through our lives can be a comfort, knowing that whatever happens, we are not truly alone. Each of us has a part to play, a change to ring, hopefully for the better, through our being here. Just to finish on a high note, or perhaps that should be tone, the bell ringers here at St Peter Mancroft achieved another proud goal last week when they won the George W. Pipe Trophy, the first 12-bell ringing trophy they have achieved in living memory. Many hearty congratulations to all those whose hard work made this possible. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your visit and day.